All right, and welcome back, world. It's the Black Psychologist Podcast. Appreciate everyone being here. You could be anywhere in the world, but you're here listening and watching with us tonight. We appreciate that. Episode 35, and I am one half of one of your gracious and humble hosts, Dr. Kyle Osborne. He is I, and I am him. And of course, you all know that I'm never ever by myself. I'm here with the magnificent mind. He's the best at what he does, and he's the
Yeah,
Ayatollah of rock and roller,
come on.
Dr. Jason Coleman. How are you, good brother?
I'm good, bro. Man, I'm feeling good. I just got my booster shot, so my arm is hurting, but I'm good, man. I'm here. What's up with
Okay.
you?
Cool, man. Cool. Yeah, it's Monday. We're getting into this holiday week. Any plans for you, bro? Any plans for going into the holiday for Christmas?
Listen, man. Just of course, I got to wrap up the week. A couple of things to do in terms of students in the hospital and stuff like that. Wrapping up the semester and all of that. But other than that, just after Wednesday, it's just gonna be with the family. That's it. What about you? What you doing?
Chilling for the most part. I picked up baby girl yesterday, from campus, so she's home. She's home hanging out. Just destroying everything in her wake wherever she goes. Running up my Pico bill. But she's chilling. Getting some extra sleep in, and we just vibing. We catching up on some shows, so like Ink Master, and so it's cool. It's
That's
cool.
what's up.
It's good to have her back hanging around.
That's what's up. Listen, man, I just started new shows, man. I just started that some show. I know I'm late, but called The Witcher on Netflix, man.
Oh
It's a
yeah, with
new.
my Superman, Henry
Oh,
Cavill, right? That his name?
I don't know the names, man.
Oh well, I need you to
I
get
don't know
better.
the names. Yeah, I
Yeah,
don't know
that's
the names, bro.
yeah,
All I
that's his
know is
name. That's the boy that played Superman a couple years
all I
ago.
know is he got silver hair and a sword.
Oh yeah,
You
he
know.
gets busy.
Yeah, he get busy. He get busy.
He gets busy. So yeah, this is definitely the time of season, man. For self care. Continuing to catch up on some shows, things that help you relax. So we want to not only us, but we absolutely want to, advertise that and encourage that for anybody watching. And if you have the luxury of tuning in right now, we're actually live on StreamYard. So if you are watching on our YouTube page, if you can't, let us know. I think you can comment and go into the chat if you can't hear us or you can't see us or anything. So bear with us. Again, this is something new. We're expanding our horizons. So we appreciate anybody that does tune in and watch, and absolutely we appreciate our subscribers. We appreciate people watching and listening on all the different platforms. So continue to watch, subscribe, and continue to like and comment. We appreciate the love.
Definitely. Like always, we just want to thank anybody who takes the time out to listen. We appreciate it. And again, just want to always remind everybody to prioritize your mental health.
Absolutely. So let's get into it, Jay. So last week we didn't get a chance to get to this topic, but we both felt like this was a pretty decent one that we wanted to get out there to the people. All right. So a school has replaced detention with meditation, and the results are stunning. All right. So imagine you're working at a school and one of the kids is starting to act up. You know, what do you do? So traditionally, right, the answer would be to give the unruly kid, right, detention or suspension. But in my memory, and if anybody, and shout out to anyone that went to middle school with me at Ivy Leaf Middle School, you know, I was leading the league, Jay. Listen, I was leading the league in detentions, bro. I was like LeBron out
What was you
there.
getting detention for, man?
I was talking, man. I was telling jokes. I was doing all kinds of things, bro. Nothing non-violent, non-aggression behavior issues. But I was leading the league, man. I was averaging like 2 or 3 per day.
Oh man, you wild.
Sometimes I would get a double double. I would get a detention from the English teacher and the math teacher. I was,
You wild.
listen. So
I didn't get a
but
lot of detentions, man.
Ah, okay. You was one of them. Okay.
I can't even say that. I ain't get a lot of detentions, man. Listen, my mom's a teacher. She don't play
Mm.
that.
My mom was too,
So,
bro. Listen, you got to get to the phone call before they do. You got
I get it. I get it, you know. But
so
that,
I
listen,
said,
that detention at home hit different, man.
yeah, you're right. You're right. So, but I say that because for the reason that in my memory of after school detentions, like it I remember it. It just involved like you just staring at the wall, right? I remember you staring at the wall, being bored out of your mind, and like for me, I was always trying to like talk to like some of my other classmates, all the other people that were also in detention, and like without getting caught, or I might be reading, maybe doing some homework, but I know like if it was designed for me to like think about the my actions and the consequences, that didn't really work, right? Because it just made me feel like everything was stupid. Like I'm just sitting in a room, we're not doing anything. However, a school in Nottingham City, which is in the UK, has been doing something different when students act out. They've been offering meditation. So instead of punishing disruptive kids or sending them to the principal's office, they offer meditation. So what were your thoughts as you were reading through this article?
I mean, listen, what I kind of took out of this article was, again, right? Like we have decades and decades of like proof, whether it be in our own lives or, otherwise. We look at school. If we look at kind of the people, a lot of people in this nation that are incarcerated, that we can't punish our way out of problems, right? So, not saying that punishment isn't an appropriate solution at times, right? But we've learned we can look at a variety of different results and come to the conclusion that punishing people doesn't necessarily change their behavior or deter it, right? Um, so the good thing about I think about this is that they're offering them something other than punishment, right? They're teaching them skills, right? We're talking about emotional regulation. We're talking about mindfulness. We're talking about skills that will help these children, and really deal with the root of the problem, which is most likely their inability, to manage their feelings in some capacity, right? Um, so again, I think it's one of these things that should be offered in one way or another in every school, right? Because for every child, um, punishment is just not going to work, especially when you start talking about children that have a background of abuse and neglect, right? They know punishment too well. So giving them detention for 30 minutes not only does it not teach them anything, but it may be, I'm not going to say re-traumatizing them, but it may be causing them stress for no reason when we know what the end goal is supposed to be, right? So again, I gotta applaud them for trying this technique because they're offering them something, right? They're teaching them skills.
Yeah, I agree with every component that you mentioned. And I'm also just kind of thinking, just the physical aspect of things, right? Because again, I told you, I was a pro in after school detention. And, I just think about, all right, as opposed to going into some place where you're in a room or a classroom with not many windows, like you can actually encourage a kid to come into a room where they can go through different practices of like deep breathing, right? Or meditation, or like you're helping them calm down, right? You're helping them relax, you're helping them, recenter, right? All these other different benefits of meditation.
Right.
And in that opportunity, you can also have that conversation with them, right? After you've been able to kind of de-escalate the situation, you've been able to kind of, you know, reshift their focus. You can actually talk to them or talk through what took place, right? What contributed to whatever the issue is. So it's an opportunity for you to also get answers, for you to also find out what's going on. Like you said, a lot of these kids are coming from situations where they maybe experienced some trauma. Like you don't know what that person or what that kid experienced before coming into school or earlier in the day that the teachers didn't catch or like the other staff didn't catch. So you don't know. But I think
Right.
this is an opportunity where you actually get in, to talk to that person one on one, like, and you can incorporate some holistic approaches, right? You can incorporate some things, an opportunity for you to be able to see what that kid is experiencing, um And I think it's, I think that's amazing. Like if you see young kids meditating, right? It's becoming more the norm. So imagine they can take this practice home.
Right.
So it's something that they can practice not only here, they can practice it at home, they can practice it, when they, in other different situations as they get older. I think it's a great. I like the fact that you have some schools that are starting to incorporate this approach into, how they're managing different issues that come up with children, especially in the school atmosphere.
And I mean, listen, any of us who, either have children or dealt with children in any capacity know that, the worst thing you want to do or the worst situation that you can find yourself in is if you punish a kid and God forbid they habituate to it, right? And they don't care anymore,
Right.
right? And before you can even get it out their mouth, they're like, all right, I'm on my way to the detention right now. It's 30 minutes, right? And it means
Right.
nothing at this point, right? So that's why, again, when I talk to parents, when they run into challenges about punishment, right? I always say, instead of taking things away, give them something, right? Make them do something. Make them write something. Make them learn something. Make them go do something, volunteer somewhere, right? Don't
Yeah.
instead of taking things away all the time, give them something, whether it be skills, volunteer work, or something else, right? But it's just adding something to your toolbox. So it's a good article.
Absolutely. I hope more schools start to incorporate this into their curriculum and their practice. All right. So speaking of behavior or inappropriate behavior that leads to suspension.
Yeah, I gotta
All
get my
right.
tea, man. Go ahead. I gotta get my tea.
Go ahead. So a video has recently surfaced of a judge in Lafayette, Louisiana, at home watching surveillance video yelling racist language. All right. So we're talking about Judge Michelle Odinet. I think I'm saying that correctly. Um, over the past few days, in this video, right, she and other people in her household are watching surveillance footage on of an outdoor altercation, right, with a burglar suspect who was I guess that was you can't see the people, you can't see her, you can't see the family members or friends or whoever was in there, but you can hear like what they're commenting on and what they're saying, and they're just casually using racist language. So
Okay.
to kind of give you more of a backstory and some more content, there were two vehicles that were burglarized in the driveway of her home. And records show that Odene and her husband and the family, the suspect tried to flee on foot but was caught by them, and the police came and they were able to apprehend them and so on and so forth, right? So they were able to hold the victims down or they were able to hold the suspect down until officers arrived. So when you're watching the video, all right, you hear a male voice that can be overheard saying, "Oh, mom's yelling, nigger, nigger, nigger," right? And then what appears to be some other more jovial banter. And then you can hear Michelle Odinet's voice over her saying, "Yeah, we have a nigger. It's a nigger like a roach," while laughing. Okay. So, in this group, they just continue to have this conversation back and forth, right? At one
Right.
point, laughing at the video, someone lost their wallet, and then there's other person talking about, yeah, we should have stole the person's phone. He's a fucking asshole, and go get the gun, and so on and so forth, right? This is how the conversation is being played, right? But Jay, so out of all of this, conveniently, she has an excuse. All right, you know what that excuse is?
What is it?
That she can't remember a thing. Right? She
Okay.
was given a sedative and she can't remember anything. All right. So she released a statement that said, "My children and I were a victim of an armed burglary at our home. The police were called, the assailant was arrested, and the incident shook me to my core and my mental state was fragile. I was a wreck and I'm unable to sleep. I was given a sedative at the time of the video. I have zero recollection of the video and the disturbing language used during it." How you like that one? All right. So
I mean,
we're
what do you
gonna
want me to say there?
so we're gonna get this out the way, right? Let's do a quick psycho ed. All right. So, like all medications, right? Any individual taking any type of sleep aid or a sedative, it can indeed incur side effects. Okay. So we're more talking about like headaches, dizziness, diarrhea, nausea, any type of like allergic reaction.
Right.
Now, in more rare cases, like maybe like 1 in 4% of sedative users have reported experiencing like odd behavior or like psychiatric side effects, like hallucinations or like disorientation. In no way is one of those side effects, right? You know what's not a side effect? Racism. Okay. Racism is not a side effect. All right. And even before we came on here, Jay, like I did a quick literature search on publicmed.gov just to like and to see if there are any like different sedative induced racism.
Oh,
Zero results.
yeah. I thought you was about to say something serious, man.
Zero results, bro. All right. So what's your take on this, man?
I mean, I'm not even going to deal with the sedative part. You kind of put that to bed, you know. Nice try on their end, you know. But see, this is the thing. So we're not naive, right? So we know that there's a lot of people in this country, you know, all over the world that have racist views, right? And we racism and ignorance are all over the place, right? So the problem is not even that she's being racist and ignorant of her whole family, right, as a whole. The problem is the position that she's in, right? The problem is, as a judge, you know, we expect her to be impartial and unbiased in her views, right? Um, and unfortunately, when you're saying things like this in your home environment, and this is your, which we could perceive as your normal home environment because it was recorded probably without you knowing it was being done, um, then these type of views, you know, affect how you make other decisions, right? Research has proven that. You can't compartmentalize racism and say, listen, we say the N word at home and we call them roaches, right? But when I get to work, everybody gets a fair shot. And that don't work like that, you know? And I think that's why you see like defendants in her cases filing, you know, for her to get recused. And I hope that happens, you know, because, you know, obviously she's been publicly shamed, but that's not enough, right? Because she's holding, you know, people's freedom, you know, in their livelihood, their records, criminal records in her hands, right? So this is the problem with people when people like this are in these type of positions of power. You know, this is what kind of exacerbates people of color not trusting systems in general, right? When things like this hit the news, um, you know, because if you've ever been in a courtroom, you're going to think about, did that happen to me? Right? And unfortunately, history tells us that it has happened before. You know, so again, the unfortunate part is that you know when you do kind of a little bit of research below the surface, you know how she's going to be reprimanded is to be determined. Right now, she's on leave, you know, or something like that. But it's up to her to resign. You know, so listen, the way people got to understand, like when they put people in positions of power, you know, it's not easy to get them out of it. Not easy to get them out of them, right? So again, it's just another example of why you know certain people have a reason not to you know have trust in the system, right? Certain structures.
Yeah, it's revealing. It's very revealing. I would like to sit up here and say that I'm shocked, but I'm not, unfortunately. I remember reading, I think, a Times article earlier in the year. There was like a Colorado judge that was also found, or that it was revealed that was making, using racial slurs and racial language. Um, and now this is very revealing of racial prejudice. I mean, at a high representative level in our judicial system, right? That's what this is. I mean, what chance does any African American or any person of color have in her courtroom? I mean, we're talking zero chance. This is the core beliefs that she already inhabits, right? Like, I don't believe that a person who has revealed this type of disposition, um, should fulfill any type of office bearing power over any type of judiciary. Because, like you said, it speaks to impartiality, and that's the issue here,
And see,
right?
and that's the thing, right? And I get it because this is the type of situation that it makes it makes people emotional, right? Because it can impact a lot of people on a lot of levels. But the discussion moving forward about this is going to be about whether she can be impartial and unbiased, right? Saying those things, right? And again, my stance is always going to be that you can't dehumanize somebody on Saturday and Sunday and then give them a fair shot on Monday. It just doesn't work like that. Our brains, our minds just don't work like that. You can't turn racism on and off, right? And this is a problem because when you call somebody an N-word or roaches, and that's how you look at them, that's how you view them, whether they committed a crime or not, right? Because these are the people who are wearing the black robes, correct? Right?
That's right.
So when we talk about innocent until proven guilty, of course she has the right to be a person, and she doesn't have to be happy about somebody vandalizing her property, right, or trying to burglarize her property. But there's a long way between that, you know what I mean, and what we saw, right? So again, I would stand by, you can't, dehumanize somebody on the weekend and then expect us to believe that you're giving them a fair shot during the week, right? These are people's uncles, fathers, sons, and daughters. I don't think they want to take that chance. I wouldn't.
No, not going into a courtroom where you've already lost before you even go in.
Yeah, that's what it seemed like.
Right. So, I do want to point out, and I'm happy that somebody in the room, I'm not sure what contributed to the recording, but it had to be someone that was in the room was at some point in time, I imagine, is getting tired of it, kind of this language, because again, this seems like this is the norm. So, and they felt very comfortable. Like I said, it was just said very casually in a lot of the comments that were made. And whoever was recording it was also had to be someone that's within the circle. But maybe that person, I don't know what contributed to them or what prompted them to, record the conversation that was taking place, but that took place from inside the home. And it hasn't come out who has released it, but I'm happy that they did.
Yeah,
And
man. Interesting. That's an interesting story, man. It's developing, So
and the fallout has continued because, like I said, she's on unpaid administrative leave. Her son,
for real.
uh, her son is plays for LSU. He runs track for them. Not anymore.
He's off the team, right?
He's off the team.
Was he
Right.
on the video?
Yeah, he was on the video. She references him when she says Eli. So as you listen
Oh,
to the
okay.
video, they're kind of the banter back and forth, and then she mentions Eli.
Oh, so
Right.
that those
And he was
comments
the one
didn't.
yelling and like making jokes also.
So I guess those comments didn't rest too well with his teammates, huh?
Nah,
They
I don't.
told they. I guess they told him don't come back, huh?
Yeah, they're not in favor of that, you know. And it's funny, like, so toward the end of the video, there's like another female voice that says, I'm not sure if it was her or not, but she says, "Good thing we have this video, right?" That they joke about because there was like a dog that came onto the scene to play fetch, and like they said, "Oh yeah, it's a good thing we have this video." It's ironic. Yes, it is.
Yeah,
It's a
that's
very
right.
good.
That's very
It's a
good.
good thing you got this video. Absolutely.
Same
So, like
thing,
you
man.
said, we'll continue to watch and continue to you know, watch the fallout of this.
Yeah, no
All
doubt.
right. So Jay, we just talked about the holidays. We just talked about what our plans are, going forward into the holidays. And um like we talked about in previous podcast episodes, this is gonna be a time of season when people are gonna be getting together, right? People are gonna be, hopefully in a safe and healthy manner, especially given, this recent spike in rates. But what comes along with when people get together and when people, hang out and they commune is food, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's always food involved. And unfortunately, what takes place also when food is are those unnecessary comments, and whether they're intentional or they're malicious, a lot of comments tends to be made around food, about people's weight, around to individuals. And what that comes down to is weight stigma, right? Or fat shaming, whatever, term people want to use. And that comes in many forms, right? And it comes from many different sources. It's prevalent in media and entertainment. It's at school, it's at work. It's even in healthcare, right? Where you have like providers that will weight shame or fat shame patients in the name of health. And so, like I said, sometimes as people get together and they gather, they may make different little statements about getting ready to get another plate of food or getting food and all these other different things.
Mm-hmm.
And so a new small study that was recently presented at the American Heart Association conference found that women are more likely than men to say that they feel stigmatized about their abdominal fat, no matter what their actual weight, is that they internalize weight stigma that was linked to additional weight gain. Right. What were your thoughts about this as you were kind of reading through this article?
I mean, admittedly, like, I don't really know too much about this subject, but just read in terms of reading the article, it made me kind of think about some of the stuff that we kind of learned about in school in terms of patients, not wanting to go back to providers and it, affecting retention rates in terms of kind of how that's dealt with, within the visit, right? And it kind of touches on what you're saying in terms of this article was talking about when some patients or people have these type of comments made towards them, they're like less likely to seek care, right?
Mm-hmm.
So again, obviously, it doesn't take, it's not rocket science. Obviously, the conclusion is it's not a good thing to make these comments to people, but I think on a more like practical level and a personal level, it comes down to like sometimes people offer you information, right, because they think you need to know, right? And whether or not it hurts you or not, or how it impacts the person is kind of not the thing people first think about, right? So that's what I kind of got from this article is that when you look at the impact of like what fat shaming can do when it results in like stress eating, and we talk about like depression, anxiety, and that type of cycle. Um, Listen, it's really about all the research and people who have made it on that journey will tell you that, like promoting a healthy lifestyle, helping them, supporting them, is more effective, right? Um, so again, I think a lot of times, some things come down to people offering information because they think somebody needs to know, without considering the impact of that information on the person, right? Um, you know, what did you think when you read it though?
Um, right along those lines, and then I also went into like the self stigma that we have around food. Especially like around holidays. I think also it's contributed that self stigma that we develop is due to, like you said, some of the unpleasant interactions that people have with their
Right.
physician. When they just kind of tell them, oh, well, your BMI is this, right? Or you need to lose weight because of this, X, Y, and Z in the name of health. And that takes a toll. Like, again, it's that internalized shame that people tend to experience. And, we moralize food, right? We tend to, when you think about food in certain aspects, um, we tend to like it can trigger or activate all different types of dangerous thoughts and behaviors. So when you see food as opposed to just being able to, you know, oh, well, I want to enjoy this pie, right? I want to enjoy this meal. We tend to start thinking about, oh, well, if I do that, I'm going to pay for it later, right? Or some people start to have all these other different thoughts and ideas about food. And then that could totally, one, wreck the whole occasion, or, it kind of presents like a damaging mindset. So, and food doesn't need to be an emotional experience. It should be a situation where you're actually just able to allow to have it and actually just enjoy that experience. But like some of the things that you said, the shaming and some of those conversations that people have, or some of the comments that are made, can do a lot of damage, right? and it's right the result of sometimes the toxic messaging they have gotten from other people, messaging from social media or TV. A lot of different things kind of contribute to that.
Bro, I'm gonna say this, and it might be, hopefully, it's not controversial, but this is the thing. I do understand the other side of it, right? And that's why most of my comments was focused on like other people offering you information because they
Mm,
feel like you need to know, right? But some things you just can't avoid. Like if you're pre-diabetic or you got diabetes, or it's your doctor's job to talk to you about your diet, right? And sometimes we got to be honest. Sometimes your doctor is going to be the only person that's holding you accountable, right?
mm.
So again, I do know that there's a way, that we have to deliver a message, right? But there's a certain part of it that's just a part of, health. If you go to your doctor, you want good care, right? So part of getting good care is sometimes going to be telling somebody information that they might not want to hear. So I'm always going to be a fan of how the message is packaged and how that's important. But again, I'm also conscious of us and what we do. Like we're dealing with mental health, you know, and in terms of a medical doctor that's trying to keep somebody from having diabetes or trying to keep somebody from losing a leg and or losing a foot. Um, sometimes those conversations have to be frank and they have to be straightforward.
That's true. I think balance. Balance is something that, like you said, I hope that providers can still deliver that information or can deliver that message at the same time as doing it in a somewhat, like you said, comforting manner. Um, you know, it should be a situation, or ideally, you want, whether it's one of our clients or it's a family member, or a friend that, when a holiday comes around, you can still enjoy the food while also prioritizing like nutrition, right? So it's a situation where you can have the best of both worlds. Doesn't necessarily mean like you only have to eat rich or stick to the veggie tray. Um, and at the same time, you don't also want somebody you care about, or whether it be a client, making themselves sick, just trying to like preemptively worry about food that they're not going to be able to enjoy, or a situation where it wrecks their whole, experience of being around family and being able to eat. So and it's tough. It's a tough, balancing act. Like someone just mentioned in the chat, that a significant percentage of our community is, unfortunately overweight and obese. And you know, so it's a big difference, like you said. So is fat shaming, or is it someone trying to help one person practice healthier habits? It's a situation, I think, like Jay mentioned, appreciate the comment, is that it's the way you deliver that message, right? We all care for our loved ones. We don't want, especially if someone is experiencing diabetes, or you're really being conscious um of their eating habits. There's a way you can relay that message. It's a situation where you don't necessarily have to be condescending. You don't have to be, shame them. You don't have to make them feel bad about, possibly going after an extra slice of something. um I think a lot of times, if it's coming from a place of concern, the message will be received better. Usually, in our experiences, it's like you're sharing how concerned you are with somebody. Then it's a lot. That message will be well more received than just kind of like just shaming them and telling them, don't eat this because X, Y, and Z. And you throw the weight in there, because it can come off condescending, can come off, and in a real negative manner. But that's a good question. I'm glad happy the person mentioned that.
Yeah, man. Listen. That's why I mentioned that because as a provider, it's not going to be an easy conversation. Sometimes that's why I told you like my focus is more so outside people, family members, peers, all of those people. Because as a provider, listen, you got to provide the person good care, right? So, you know,
Yeah, it's
how
tough.
you package the message is important, but sometimes you can't control it. Sometimes we got to give people bad news.
That's true. All right. So to even more concerning news, I'm actually reluctant to share that this article that came across, but it's an important article. That people that are wishing to end their own lives in Switzerland could soon have access to a new method. All right, so it's this new 3D printed pod capsule contraption that the creator of this contraption says that can be a painlessly end manner or way that someone can end their own life in a matter of minutes. It's called the sarcopod. Okay, and real life participant trials are set to begin in early 2022. All right, so early next year. So the capsule's creator, Philip, I can't pronounce his last name, but his nickname, get this, Jay, it's called Doctor Death. All right, that's his nickname because he's
I'm
been an
not surprised,
advocate.
bro.
Yeah, he's been an advocate since like the mid '90s of assisted suicide, which is legal over there in Switzerland.
Right.
Like, and I want to say I was reading up some more information that they've had some 1,200 deaths by assisted suicide in the year 2020 alone. About
Oh,
1,200.
okay. In
It's pretty
Switzerland.
high. It's a pretty high number. All
Okay.
right. So through this sarcopod, as he calls it, he told the Washington Post, the creator said that a legal analyst had commissioned, which is by his nonprofit, concluded that the pod will not violate any type of Switzerland's assisted suicide laws. And the way that it works is that from inside, right, you can actually push a button, and the machine can be, it fills up with nitrogen gas, and it rapidly lowers the oxygen levels, causing the user to fall unconscious within a minute. And it says the person doesn't suffocate or experience any type of distress, but rather dies of oxygen, um, and they just fall asleep. Right. So you deprive them of oxygen, and they fall asleep. Uh, Jay, this was a pretty bizarre and concerning article to get through, bro. What was your take as you were reading through?
I mean, it's
Yes,
kind
yeah,
of
like Dr.
disgusting.
Kevorkian, like the guy just somebody just wrote into the chat. Yeah,
It's
just like
kind of
Dr. Guy.
it's kind of disgusting,
Yeah.
right? Listen, what's more, not even more, but what's even more off-putting is, I sent you the article and you see the picture of it. Is the glamorization, right? When you look at the pod, it actually looks like a Tesla, right? Or like a little Mini Cooper or some futuristic type of vessel that you would be intrigued by, right? Like
Hmm.
you could picture somebody putting, I don't know, painting the outside of theirs or whatever. My
Listen,
point is,
Jay, listen, right? I saw on another article because I was researching him. He was showing this to other people. Like people were getting inside the capsule. Like
right,
he was
like they're
showcasing,
sitting
and
as
people are like trying out like it's a new car.
right.
Yeah.
So that's the thing, right? And how they branded it, like they're calling it like an elegant way to die, right? So I think this is the problem, right? Because they're glamorizing the act, right? It, even if you were in support of saying, listen, the technique might help people that were suffering, right? This is not that, right? Um, and the proof is in some of the things they were saying, right? Like the capsule can be towed to a place of the person's choosing. So you could have situations where somebody calls an Uber or something, and they're like, yeah, tow me to the beach, and I'm gonna get in the capsule, and not to make light of it, but this is where we're heading. This is the type of slippery slope that you have when you're promoting stuff like this, right? The picture of it looks crazy. Off-putting is an understatement.
Yeah, it's like he was romanticizing
Right,
suicide, and
right.
just the whole term or phrase that he said, stylish and an elegant way to die. That's like an oxymoron, right? Like I don't like you have to. There were so many thoughts. Just I was just trying to kind of process that statement, and he said this method is only restricted to people who are over 50, who are of sound mind, or seriously ill.
Right.
Okay. In the way he's selling it, like you said, like it's a new car, like it's a new concept car, where it's like, hey, you too can die in one of my pods.
I mean, listen, and think about it in context, right? Like they're going to start with this next year, right? So think about what a large part of the world has been going through in the last 2 years, right? We're talking about a pandemic. We're talking about worldwide, people having problems in terms of employment, right? Losing jobs. Some people having problems in terms of homes, um, losing family members, those things. So when we talk about a situation that can make a group of people or individuals vulnerable to making impulsive choices, this is it, right? Um, so you talk about the perfect storm of like kind of catastrophe. This is it, right? Um, there are. It doesn't matter that we're doing relatively okay. We remained employed. God willing. And all those things. There's some people who COVID-19 are going to be digging out from the damage from this for years, right? There's some people that lost a job and didn't get another one. There's some people that lost a caregiver, a family member, or who have some sick now and don't know what they're going to do. So for you to be glamorizing it is kind of it's dangerous.
Yeah,
you
it's
know, and kind of I think what made me most disgusted was the lighthearted manner in which he kind of talked about his customers, which some people might say would be his victims.
Okay, it was very, very cavalier, very matter of fact. Like I'm just gonna, put this information. Um, Something else that concerns me is that he plans on making the blueprints available so anyone can download the design.
Right.
So, you know, and it's available for like free, like online. So he's like you can go and print the instructions online about the combination of the nitrogen and the oxygen deprivation.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, that's dangerous and irresponsible for the reason that it could also lead to to suicide contagion, right? You could have a whole phenomenon that are people that are hearing about this particular manner in which to end your life, and then you'll have people trying to duplicate it. Right, you'll
Mm-hmm.
have people trying to, oh, I can, just he's just glamorizing it and he's advertising it like again, like it's a car, right? This is what draws people in, unfortunately. And I mean, he's been doing this for years, unfortunately. Like he's had time, he has a nonprofit, he has all these other different resources that, you know, of all these different these methods. And he's getting to a point. I mean, you should have seen like the looks, like the visual aspect of things. When I was looking at some of the photos for people that were trying to get in and out of this pot, like they were sitting in it, and it was mind blowing.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
you know so in reading some more, there it seems like Switzerland is kind of back and forth with this. I don't believe that, even though they're going to start trying attempting the trials next year, there are some other different roadblocks and some other different approvals he has to go through. So we'll see. We'll continue to monitor this, but this is it's potentially very dangerous, and it's being, I believe, advertised in a very irresponsible manner because, like you said, they're not customers; these are individuals,
Yeah.
right?
I mean,
No matter what kind of side you kind of fall in on, the argument as far as whether you're pro, assisted suicide, or you're on the other side of the aisle, it's still a situation where this is dangerous, right? Even the safety, component is dangerous. If you're going to put someone inside of a capsule and have them press a button, there's a whole multitude of things that could go wrong, right?
right. I
So,
mean, listen, I would, but see, I'm different. Like, I'm only willing to even have that conversation about that when we're talking about like a hospital kind of setting, right? Somebody who has a chronic terminal illness, and they're making the decision whether they want to suffer 6 months or 6 days or 6 hours, right? But this is not, that's very different than selling suicide for commercial purposes. Excuse me if I'm using the word incorrectly. You understand what I'm saying? Like selling suicide like you're selling donuts. Like that's different to anybody over
right.
50. You know, so again, if we're not talking about somebody who's making a decision between do I want to live with this chronic illness for 6 months, 6 days, not because somebody is sane and over 50 and has $50,000 to buy the capsule, they can get it towed to the beach and kill themselves on Jersey Shore. Like some people would buy a Coca-Cola. That's the difference, you know. But it's disgusting. But we're gonna have to. I'm sure it won't be the last time we're hearing about it.
Yeah, we'll continue to monitor it. I hope Switzerland continues to fight, and we'll see what happens. All right, Jay. Ending off on a good note, okay? Are you familiar with BTS?
No.
Okay. I'm surprised, shocked, and disappointed most of first.
Okay.
Okay. All right. I just
Are
said that
you?
you were the rock and roller, the Ayatollah, and all that, and I thought that reputation, I thought that reputation was gonna. I don't know.
Well, I mean, because of the article, that's all. But not before the article.
All right, so you're missing out, Jay. So it's safe to say that you're not a part of the BTS army. All right, so you've never heard of the song on the commercial, the I'm dynamite. That's not you. You don't know that? No.
I mean, it doesn't.
In the stars tonight. No, you're not familiar with that.
It's not ringing a bell, but
All
I'm
right.
sure.
Okay.
I'm sure as soon as we're done, I'm gonna turn on my television and hear it.
It's on the Samsung commercial. Don't worry. I'm gonna forward you the song and the album. Don't worry about it. I got you. I don't want you to be
All right.
left out. All
All
right.
right.
So for those
That
that are
so
like Jay,
BTS is on your rotation at the gym.
all day.
Okay.
I get pumped to it, bro. Listen, you know what I mean? I'm kicking them, pumping iron to it. Seriously.
I'm
All
not
right,
mad
so
at that.
so for those people that aren't familiar with BTS, they are a Korean pop group, K-pop, and they're breakout, man. They are a global phenomenon these past couple years with chart topping hits and albums and Grammy nominations. You name it, right? Uh, and so they're recognizable with a couple of their pop songs. Dynamite, also Butter, and like they're in those commercials. They have like the candy colored outfits and like the hairdos, and they have these dance routines. All right, so what's important, or we bring that up, is that researchers are starting to take notice that in this era of rising like youth suicide rates and with mental health crisis that's been amplified by like the stressors of the pandemic and social media, um, the BTS, their band, their message of positive self acceptance has actually been able to resonate amidst all of the adversity that I just mentioned. And so, research has shown that the BTS can actually support young people's mental health. All right. Now, Jay, I got to be honest with you. Okay. Um, I thought that these kids, I thought the band members, because it's seven of them, and I'm not gonna attempt to try to pronounce any of their names because I'll just
Mm-hmm.
screw it up and I'll get in trouble for it. So I'm not even gonna go down that road. But it's seven of them. Uh, and listen, I have to be honest. I thought they were all like in their late teens. It turns out they're like in their mid to late 20s, bro. All of them.
Oh,
So,
so they're grown ups.
oh yeah, they're full-fledged adults.
Okay.
Yeah. So I thought, I mean, they're very youthful looking, which is cool. I guess that
They're very
I
youthful.
guess that they have that to their advantage. All right. But yeah, some of the
I
music
haven't seen
and
them. I'm about to pull up a picture of them right now.
pull them
Go ahead.
up.
I'm
Listen, I
listening.
guarantee you, if you play the song, you've heard Dynamite. There's no way you haven't heard it. It's in the stars tonight.
Listen,
So,
all due respect, I don't need to hear that again.
all right. So listen. All
I don't need
right.
to hear
So
that again.
a couple different things. I'm telling you, when you pull it up, and everybody out there listening, you've heard BTS, you've heard the music, you've heard the jingle, you've seen the commercial. They're
Oh, they do
dancing.
look young.
They do, don't they? Right?
Yeah,
They're-
they look like teeny boppers. I mean, like 14, 16, 17.
Listen, they're in their mid to late 20s, and somebody just wrote in the chat, "What does BTS stand for?" I don't know. Okay, I don't
Somebody
know.
has some work done.
I'm gonna have to find out. All right. So I haven't. I guess That there goes my
It's called
oh, we got
Bangtan Boys.
who?
Bangtan Boys.
Okay, there
That's
you go.
BTS. Bangtan
BT.
Boys.
All right, cool. There you go. You know, I learn something new every day. See, you're about to join the army already. All right. So some of
Oh,
the things that
their names are not hard to pronounce. Jin, Sugar, J Hope, RM, Jimin, V, and Jungkook. That's not hard, man.
my
And you the
fault.
one, you the fan.
My
You the
fault.
one, you the one with the T-shirt,
My fault.
the T-shirt and the the visor.
You're gonna see the shirt, the t-shirt, and the you're gonna see it next week. Watch. You see you gonna see it next episode. That might be our new intro music. I don't know.
No, 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 I don't think
All
so.
right. So some of the things
Or maybe, maybe.
that the researchers mentioned have talked about, it's a fresh perspective, right? So I'm gonna quickly run through some of the positive attributes that have been helping contribute towards a positive mental health that the band has been able to present. So they have a fresh perspective. Okay. Um, you know, they're from South Korea, and like for the last decade or so, like K-pop has really become like a culture juggernaut, man. Like they have like K-pop has really started to take over, and like similar bands. And you know, they through their music, they've offered like this innate like type of sense of hope and like possibility to folks that kind of feel stagnant, like because it's new. Like I know a lot of us are familiar with like NSYNC, and I think who was it a few years ago, it was like One Direction. You know how like every 6 7 years like a new kind of boy band that pops up or that emerges. So
Yeah.
this is BTS. This is their time now. All right. So but yeah, they're a fresh perspective. And a lot of the music is, you know, it's very, very positive, right? They have an upbeat message, right? That's the next one. So even though it sounds like fizzy and kind of like, you know, popcornish, um, and that's usually been more reserved for like their crossover songs like Dynamite and like Butter. Um, a lot of their lyrics are really heartfelt in regards to talking about like some of the insecurities that plague like a lot of youth, right? So a lot of them, some of their messages they've talked about like I forgot what's his name, one of the band members, Sugar, the one you just mentioned. All right, Sugar has actually come out and and talked about
Yeah, you gonna keep
his
playing. Yeah, you think you all right.
he's talked about his struggles with mental health, like with mental illness. And there was like a United Nations assembly um a couple years ago where they gave a moving speech encouraging like self-esteem and human connection, and giving out like hope to youth everywhere. Um so yeah, you know, overall like they've, in addition to, you know, the music, like they've had like a really positive effect on people. Like they're very diverse among the band group.
Right.
Like some of them are more kind of urban, you know, and some of the others are more like androgynous, and you know they're really you know, really carefree in regards to the way they present themselves. So you know, and that contributes to like they're all separate, but they're also very inclusive. So so yeah, so that's BTS, man. Like I think you should check it out. Okay. I think it'll have a
Well,
profound a good effect on you, bro.
I might check it out next time I'm on the treadmill, man. You know,
I
send me a
guarantee you do
couple
an extra
YouTube
mile.
videos.
I guarantee you're gonna do an extra mile. Guarantee it.
I mean, but listen, just in general, I could understand why the music would resonate with a lot of, especially like younger emerging adults, that kind of age group. Anything that kind of talks about self acceptance, individuality, those type of things. This generation is has been very vocal about self care, mental health, those things. So it's not surprising, right? So we should only thing I would really say is we should get used to more of kind of this positive message, kind of gaining some footing. And I wouldn't be surprised if young people put more support behind groups like this. So
Yeah, absolutely. And oh yeah, they also, because you know they're worth like 100 million, right? That's like their net worth. They also contributed, I think, 1 or 2 million to the Black Lives Matter movement last year. So, they've been supportive of a lot of different causes. And like all jokes aside, I've heard nothing but positive things about this group, just kind of reading up on them. And it's good. Like it's good to have some of these like just feel good music. And when you have members that like are still very young that resonate, and a lot of youth can identify with, and they're unapologetic with their message that they promote. It's good. It's positive, and like you said, this is a difficult time for a lot of different reasons, especially because of the pandemic, but also in addition to other stressors that a lot of people and a lot of kids are experiencing. So if they're able to put on this music and it instantly gets you out of a bad mood, I mean, I think that's helpful. Like this is what this reminds me of? When you hear their song, right? It's like one of those songs that like you kind of can't help. It's like it's very catchy. It's kind of like Soldier Boy's Crank That, right? So you know how when that first came out and it was like, this isn't real hip hop, it's not real rap music, but you still found yourself singing the song,
Mm-hmm.
right? And you know Soldier Boy telling me, Crank That, the dance move, right?
That's how you feel about it.
That's what I think it's similar to that, man. I think you know what I'm talking about. When
I
you
gotta
hear the
hear
song,
it.
when you look it up, I'm
I know
telling
the
you,
feeling. I gotta hear it though.
when you hear, you're gonna be like, oh, that one. And once you listen to the whole song, it's a catchy tune, and like you start shimmying your shoulders, like you don't even know that you're doing it, but you just like okay, dynamite, Anyway,
Right.
yeah. So we appreciate everybody tuning in. We wouldn't want to wish everybody a happy holiday, a safe holiday. I mean, holiday. Continuing, we encourage self care. If you are going to be gathering with your loved ones, absolutely, please do it in a health and safe manner. We appreciate everybody. This is the first time that we did it live via StreamYard, so we appreciate everybody's comments in the chat, and listening and watching and commenting. Continue to subscribe, continue to watch, continue to listen. We love your feedback. We love all your questions. And Jay, anything else before we get out of here?
Just as usual, of course, we're thankful that anybody takes time out of their day to, listen. So thank you. Please continue to like, share the videos. We're gonna stay bringing the content, and as always, just make sure prioritize your mental health.
Absolutely. So, happy holidays to everybody, and wishing everybody good mental health. All right, and we will see and talk to everyone next episode. All right, Jay.